I want to talk for a couple minutes about the DC housing emergency legislation. When I saw the HUD report a couple months ago, I knew very much, and many of us had known this before, that we have to make significant changes in this agency. I believe that we have to make reforms to the board, that we have to make reforms to the agency, and that we have to reform the way that we do oversight as a council. So when I saw the mayor's emergency proposal to create a reform board, I didn't like the initial proposal, but I did think that it put us on the right track. The opportunity to say, you know what, no more political appointments, no more people who don't have the right experience. Let's put the people with the right experience on the board, and along with residents who have a very important perspective, and let's get to work fixing this agency. So I said, look, I want to make a lot of amendments to this emergency proposal, and I went out and did that. Now, the reason that I think this needs to be done on emergency is because I believe that we are this close to a receivership based on the conversations and meetings that I've had on this issue. Now, I don't know if folks have yet looked into HUD receiverships. They do not bode well for jurisdictions. I believe we will be in worse shape under a receivership, and we have to act urgently to start to right this ship, to stave off a federal receivership of our housing authority. So what I did was I fought to add more residents onto this board. In the emergency proposal, there was one, now there are three. I added more expertise to this board. I reduced the time period to 2 years instead of 3. I added back one opportunity for public comments. I've pushed for real power and authority for the resident advisory board so that they can get reports from the executive director. I've pushed for more information for the council so that we can hold the agency accountable, because we've got to do that piece as well. All this is happening, these reforms to the board, as we now have an introduced bill to reform the agency itself. The council also has to do oversight. So these are the 3 prongs. We can't choose to just do 1 or 2 of these. We have to do all 3. It will also require compromise. And this is the limitation of the council. Because of the Home Rule Act and separation of powers, the council can't just run the table on this. The mayor has had, will always have control over this board. The council can't take that away. What we need to do is, within those parameters, fix this board. And that's, I think, what we did today. So my perspective, this my North Star of all the things going on, people being removed from the board, contracting issues in the agency, issues with public housing itself. Of all these issues, I believe we have to know what our North Star is, and that our North Star, has to be fixing public housing immediately. Everything else is after that. The most important thing is that we fix public housing. Now, my perspective on public housing and sort of how we treat it, what we do, and when we do it is informed by my first visit as a council member to public housing residents. I was given a tour by a guy, relatively young guy, and I saw infestation in the downstairs of their home. Then he took me upstairs where I saw a crib. And in that crib, I saw a 6-month-old girl who was about the same age as my daughter at the time, and on her ceiling, covered with mold. And as a dad, I knew exactly what that meant for that young girl's health, for her respiratory system. And as much as I have seen and heard over the years of our public housing, nothing has ever impacted my perspective as much as seeing that dad with his little girl and knowing that we have to do better for that little girl, for other kids in public housing, for other parents trying to make a better way for their kids and other seniors. We do not have the option of saying, let's figure this out later. We have got to act urgently now to make reforms on the board, reforms in the agency, and reform how we do oversight from the council. If we do all 3 of those well, we will put public housing on a better trajectory, and we have to do that now. So I hope this adds some clarification as to where I'm coming from, what I'm trying to get done. I will say that where this emergency bill is now is a good bill. Please look at the details of this bill. It's a good bill. It is also a necessary bill.